Welcome to the channel. I'm Jim Rohn, and today we're going to discuss a topic that has sparked heated debate among thousands on Reddit. If a person has a tendency to avoid doing this, they will not come back. Have you ever loved someone who always kept their distance, sometimes close, sometimes far, and then one day they disappeared without a word of explanation? Do you wonder if they will ever come back? On a large forum, a man's story has attracted special attention. He shared about falling in love with an avoider, about the painful tug-of-war between hope and disappointment, and the cruelest thing? When he decided to leave, she didn't hold back at all. In today's video, I will retell this story, analyze the psychology behind the avoider's actions, and help you understand, will they really come back? And more importantly, if they come back, will you still want them? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss valuable content about psychology, self-development, and relationships. On Reddit, there was a story that garnered thousands of comments. And as soon as I read it, I knew that this was the clearest evidence of an avoidant attachment style in love. Today, I'm going to share Jack's story about his love experience that he felt was the craziest with the avoider girl. I changed his name to Jack to avoid revealing more personal information. A story that you might see a glimpse of yourself in. Let's dive into this story. I'm Jack, 35 years old, and I've been dating a 28-year-old girl for 8 months. Actually, I don't know if I should call it dating, because it's more like a psychological game, a game where I'm always the loser. She's like a dream, then turned into a nightmare. At first, she was attractive in an indescribable way. Not the sweet or clingy type, but the mysterious, slightly cold type, which made me want to explore her even more. She didn't talk much about her feelings, but I still felt that there was something very real between us. The first 3 months, everything was great. She smiled when she was with me, sometimes even leaned her head on my shoulder as if she was really comfortable. We had perfect weekends, deep conversations until late at night, moments where I believed she was opening up. I thought, this time it's different. She feels the same way I do. But then, out of the blue, she changed. The more I tried, the further she got. She started to distance herself little by little. Messages became less frequent. Meetings became less frequent. Hugs were no longer natural. I thought, maybe she needs space. Okay, I'll be patient. I'll give her time. But no. When I do that, she gets sulky, as if I don't care. I tried a different way, showing more affection, asking her what she wanted, but no, that's too suffocating. I can't win. Everything I do is wrong. She wants to be close, so I have to hug her. But if I hug her for too long, she says, don't overdo it. She wants to be far away, so I have to back off. But if I back off too much, it becomes cold. I always feel like she has one foot out the door, just waiting for a chance to disappear. The feeling of being rejected is so maddening. We could just have a great weekend together, and the next morning she wakes up, looks at me with a strange look as if I'm just a passerby. Once I asked, "Do you really like me?" She just chuckled and replied, "Why do you have to ask these things? Just enjoy the moment." The moment? My whole relationship is reduced to a moment? I feel like an idiot. One day ago, I was the person she wanted to be with. The next day, I'm just an annoyance. I've asked myself hundreds of times, what did I do wrong? But the more I try to find the answer, the more I feel like I'm going crazy. No love, no empathy, just a cold game. The worst part is that when I'm hurt, she doesn't care. Not a word of comfort, not a bit of sympathy. If I'm sad, don't overreact. If I want to talk about my feelings, why do you always complicate things? If I'm disappointed because she keeps pushing me away, you're too sensitive. I started to wonder if I was being paranoid. Did I imagine it all? Did I misinterpret this relationship? But there's one thing that never lies. The sex is great. It's just that after every time I feel even more empty. She didn't keep me, and maybe that's the best thing she's ever done. In the end, I couldn't take it anymore. I had hoped that she would change, that she would realize that I was really important to her. But when I decided to stop, she didn't even try to keep me. Not a single message of concern, not a single explanation. She disappeared, as gently as if I had never existed in her life. And that's when I realized, it's not that I'm not good enough, it's just that she never really wanted to stay in the first place. Psychology of avoidant attachment style. Why do they always leave? Jack's story is a prime example of a relationship with someone with an avoidant attachment style, people who always crave connection but unconsciously fear intimacy. This doesn't mean they don't know how to love, but that love for them always comes with anxiety and a feeling of being threatened. Why does she act like that? The girl Jack loved wasn't intentionally cruel or cold. Deep down, she has a deep-seated belief that intimacy is dangerous. When the relationship is new, she feels safe because things aren't too deep yet. But when Jack starts to get closer, wanting to be attached, wanting to be sure of their feelings, she feels suffocated. At this point, the avoider's survival instinct kicks in. They create distance to regain a sense of control. They find fault in the other person to rationalize the separation. They take the relationship lightly so as not to invest too many emotions. This is not because they have no feelings, but because feelings scare them, defense mechanism. When love is also a threat, a person with an avoidant attachment style often has unstable childhood experiences emotionally. They may have grown up in an environment where love came with control, expectations, or hurt, so unconsciously they learn to protect themselves by not relying on anyone else. When Jack showed affection, she didn't feel safe. She felt pressured. When Jack wanted to be close, she didn't feel loved. She felt bound. When Jack backed away, she didn't feel comfortable. She felt insecure. They don't know how to balance between wanting to love and the fear of being hurt, so they keep pushing the other person away, then pulling them back when they feel lonely. So the question is, if you keep stubbornly clinging to this relationship, what will happen? Let's continue to find out. When you are left behind, the pain of those who cling to non-existent love. If you've ever loved an avoider, you'll understand Jack's feeling of confusion, hurt, and being trapped in an endless, vicious cycle. No clear breakup, no answers, just a gradual, cold and cruel distancing. Until you realize the other person has disappeared, as gently as if you never existed. The pain of being left behind will be an invisible war. When Jack was pushed away, he couldn't understand what had happened. He did everything to maintain the relationship, being patient when she needed space, being gentle when she was willing to open up. But no matter what he did, he was never enough. That's the most painful thing, the feeling that you're not good enough for someone to want to stay, Jack had hoped. Hoping that if he understood her better, loved her more, she would realize his value. But avoiders don't leave because the other person isn't good enough. They leave because they themselves can't face intimacy. Yet the one who is left behind always blames themselves. Things those left behind often do to hold on looking for answers. Jack asked himself hundreds of times, "What did I do wrong?" But with an avoider, there are no logical answers. Trying to fix things, Jack tried all sorts of ways, giving her space, then showing more affection. But everything he did was wrong, waiting for them to come back. This is the biggest mistake. People like Jack often think, maybe she just needs time. Maybe if I'm patient enough, she'll change. But this only keeps them trapped in an unreal dream. Why waiting for an avoider to return is self-destructive. When you love an avoider, you'll feel like love is like a conditional game. If you're gentle enough, patient enough, persistent enough, maybe they'll love you back. But the truth is, you can't do anything to change someone who doesn't want to change. Jack lost himself in the process of waiting for her. He forgot that he also deserved to be loved fully, not just walking on eggshells just to keep someone by his side. The question is not, will they come back? But, do you still want them back when you fully understand what they've done to you? If you've been in Jack's position, ask yourself, do you really want to continue to be hurt just because someone isn't ready to love you? I really want to help you. I'm not sure if this will be true for everyone, but it's my experience that I've been through and it worked for me. You can spend months thinking, if I did differently, would they stay? But the truth is that there are no answers that can change the past. The only thing you can do is learn to accept reality and move on. From acceptance to letting go. The lesson of freedom. When an avoider leaves you, the most painful thing is not the breakup, but the feeling of not having answers. You don't understand why they suddenly distanced themselves. You wonder if you did something wrong. You live in a state of uncertainty, hoping, then being disappointed, clinging to an illusion that has long gone out. But the most important thing you need to understand is they don't leave because you're not good enough. They leave because they can't stay. And nothing you do can change that. Fear of loss greater than love. In psychology, there is a concept called loss aversion. People are often more afraid of losing something than wanting to get something new. That's why you feel like you can't let go, even when you know this relationship is hurting you. In the book Attached, Dr. Amir Levine and Rachel Heller explain that people with an anxious attachment style are often drawn to avoiders. Their insecurity makes them seek validation from someone who is not willing to give it, and that creates a painful loop. You chase, they run away. You wait, they disappear. And sadly, if you don't realize this, you will continue to be trapped in similar relationships. The brain reacts to breakup like physical pain. You feel this pain is real because it really is. Research from Columbia University has shown that when you are rejected in love, your brain activates the same areas as when you experience physical pain. That's why you feel the loss is not just emotional but also a real pain in your body. But here's the important thing: you can heal. Like any wound, it takes time, but more importantly, it requires you to stop scratching yourself. Letting go is not giving up. It's freedom. Stoicism has a core principle. You cannot control others, you can only control yourself. You can't force an avoider to stay. You can't make them love you the way you want. But you can choose. Continue to cling to someone who cannot give love, or learn to let go and find your own peace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The fact that you were left behind does not define your worth. Just as their leaving does not mean you are not worthy of love. It just means they are not capable of staying, and it's not your fault. The first step of healing, shifting focus. You cannot continue to live with the obsession about them, because every second you think about them is every second you lose yourself. Instead of asking, "Why did they leave?" ask, "How do I become the best version of myself?" Instead of waiting for them to come back, use that time to build a life that if they come back, you won't even need them anymore. Epictetus once said, "Your happiness does not depend on others, it depends on how you think." And when you realize that, you will stop looking for someone to fill the void, because you have become your own source of strength. Step 2. Stop looking for explanations. The avoider has left. That's a fact. Everything else is just your mind's interpretation. You can sit for hours, weeks, even months trying to figure out why they left, whether you did something wrong, whether they ever really loved you. But the truth is, you will never get an answer that satisfies you, because even if you know the reason, it doesn't change the fact that they are no longer here. Avoiders don't leave because you're not good enough, but because their nature doesn't allow them to stay. This is not a matter of your worth, nor a personal failure. It is the operation of an attachment style that you cannot control. The only thing you can control is how you react to it. Stoic philosophy teaches that we do not suffer from what happens, but from how we interpret it. If you continue to cling to the pain, trying to find answers, you are only prolonging your own torment. You think that if you understand the reason, you will feel better, but that is not true. Research from Stanford University shows that the human brain is obsessed with uncertainty, causing us to constantly seek explanations, even when it doesn't help. But the reality is, finding answers doesn't bring them back, nor does it soothe your pain. It only keeps you trapped in a meaningless loop where you continue to look at the closed door instead of turning away. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have a choice. Suffer because you try to hold on to something beyond your control, or let go and find your peace." You cannot change the avoider, cannot make them suddenly willing to love you the way you want. But you can choose not to let this pain define you. Instead of asking why they left, ask yourself, What will I do from this moment on? If you keep spinning in the past, you will continue to be trapped in it. But if you focus on yourself, you can turn this experience into a lesson that helps you become stronger. Letting go is not surrendering, but the most powerful action you can take. When you stop looking for answers, you will find what really matters: freedom. Step 3. Rebuilding yourself after the pain. Rebuilding yourself after emotional pain is not an option. It is a necessity if you want to regain your peace and self-worth. When an avoidant person leaves, they create a void within you. A void that, if you're not careful, can be filled with self-doubt, regret, and endless unanswered questions. But you cannot heal if you keep looking back. The first thing you must do is set firm boundaries. No contact. No checking their social media. No allowing yourself to be trapped in what-if thoughts. Any interaction will only pull you back into a cycle of pain, where you keep placing your worth in the hands of someone who is no longer there. Remember, letting go is not about punishing them, it is about protecting yourself. As Epictetus once said, the wise man does not allow himself to be ruled by emotions. He focuses on what he can control and lets go of the rest. And right now, the only thing you can control is yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, and most importantly, how you move forward. One of the biggest wounds from loving an avoidant person is the lingering feeling that you were not good enough, that you did something wrong to make them leave. But that is simply a trick your mind is playing on you. Your worth is not determined by whether someone stays or leaves. A person who truly loves you will never make you question whether they do. Real love is not a psychological game of push and pull. It is a clear, decisive, and sincere choice. Dr. Brené Brown wrote in Daring Greatly, "Love can only truly exist when there is courage. If someone cannot love you fully with courage, then they are not the one for you. And if they cannot give you a complete love, you do not need to change yourself to fit them. You need to let go so that you can find someone who truly matches you. Someone who does not make you doubt your worth simply because they are not ready for a real relationship." Once you have set boundaries and reclaimed your self-worth, the next step is rebuilding yourself. Not to prove anything to anyone, but to reclaim your own freedom. Ask yourself, if I stop spending my time thinking about them, what can I do to make my life better? Explore new experiences, find a hobby that excites you, learn a skill that boosts your confidence, expand your social circle, meet people who bring positive energy into your life instead of revolving your world around someone who has left. And most importantly, focus on what makes you happy, because happiness does not come from a relationship. It comes from the way you live your life every day. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have the power over your own mind, so why let your thoughts be controlled by someone who is no longer here?" When you realize that you don't need to understand them, you don't need to wait for them to return, and you don't need validation from anyone but yourself, that is when you truly find peace. And in that moment, you will see that the one who needed courage was not them, it was you. The courage to let go, the courage to rebuild, and the courage to love yourself more than anyone else. Be the man who knows his worth, not to impress someone, but so that you can be proud of yourself when you look back on your life. Invest in yourself. Build a strong career. Take care of your physical and mental health, and expand your knowledge to become the best version of yourself. When you focus on personal growth, instead of chasing someone, you will not only find happiness within, but also attract people who truly deserve you. The right person will not make you chase after them or change who you are. They will appreciate you for exactly who you are, not for what you try to prove. Real love is not about holding on to someone who always wants to leave. It is about finding someone who always chooses to stay. If someone cannot be with you completely, it is not a sign that you are not enough. It is a sign that they are not ready. Do not let the past keep you stuck in regret or false hope. See every breakup as a stepping stone that brings you closer to the happiness you truly deserve. When you stop clinging to things that are not meant for you, you will be surprised to find that life still has so many beautiful opportunities waiting ahead. If you've watched this far, I truly appreciate your time and attention. I hope today's message has given you a clearer perspective on love and yourself. Have you ever experienced this feeling? How did you overcome it? Share your story in the comments. Sometimes, simply speaking about it is an important step toward healing. Don't forget to like this video, share it with those who need it, and subscribe to the channel for more valuable content. Thank you for being here, and always remember, you don't need to hold on to anyone. The right person will choose to walk into your life and stay.